Hi, I'm Will Leach, author of Marketing to Mind States, and this is your Mind State Messenger. Today, I'd like to talk about brand experience and the importance of understanding load or controlling the mental load for your customers and how that can really dramatically impact your brand experiences. So, let's talk a little bit about loads. So, think of a load as simply nothing more than the amount of effort it takes to do a task. So there are certain efforts that are good efforts, and there's certain things that are not good efforts. So it's important for you to understand effort or load as it relates to your brand experience. Now, there are three different types of what we call loads. There are cognitive load, means the amount of effort it takes to have customers think during an experience. You can have visual load, how much visual kind of load is there, how complex are the visual images that you're using. And then there are motor load. How many of their motor skills are they using during an experience with you? So for a minute, think about gaming. Gaming is a great element for you to understand the importance of not only just thinking about load, but actually flexing load to make an experience even better. So imagine some of the greatest games out there. They actually have, during this experience, different levels of loads. Not all loads are created the same. They're not all equal. So for instance, if you're playing a strategy game, then it's going to really focus a lot at first around building cognitive load, making you think, because that's what the enjoyment comes from. But as you always know that, even when you're studying for a big test or something, as you have so much cognitive load, you get tired. So what do? Bring in some visual load, meaning making sure that elements of that game are just fun to look at and people are looking all over the screen. And then maybe even motor load. So engaging with a game, the online experience, and basically using hand-eye coordination. Now, if you flex these different loads and you do it correctly, it will create a very memorable and highly engaging experience. So the idea here is that trade-offs are going to be desirable in brand experience design. So maybe you're not a gaming expert out there, you're not selling games, but think about your website and how should you think about controlling or managing the amount of load that your customers have. So for instance, you may find that you're asking your customers to fill in a lot of information and you're building up cognitive load. At some point during that experience, you want to lower that cognitive load and maybe bring in some elements of visual load so you can kind of give the cognitive load a rest. So experienced designers, human factors designers can figure this stuff out for you, but the important thing is to understand that you can tax load, and the best thing you could do is lower all forms of load. So there's some exceptions. So yes, of course, don't make people overthink. Don't make people overwork their eyes trying to take in everything that you want to show them. And certainly don't make them keep typing and working with their hands till they're getting blisters on their fingers, right? But remember, considering all loads, but they're not always, that's not always the best thing to do to lower loads. So imagine if you're trying to gain somebody's attention, right? You want to amplify the visual load that somebody has to see everything that you have. Why? Because it creates interest. So it brings the eye to it and it creates some interest. Then if you make it slightly hard to understand, it creates some little bit of cognitive load and makes things interesting. So understanding how to flex load, whether that's, increasing or decreasing their cognitive loads, their motor loads, or even their visual loads, those things can really bring a whole brand experience when done right to a totally different emotional experience. So ultimately, understanding mental loads and applying human factors design is an incredibly smart step to growing your brand or business using behavioral science. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Now hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see the latest videos to show you how to grow your brand or business using behavioral science.